Omari, Faulkner, joining us, candidate, U.S. Senate, Republican side, wants to take on Mark Warner. Omari, great to have you with us, man.
Great to be here, John. Good morning.
Am I saying your name right?
I think you got it right that second time. That's all good.
All right. Now, you got a little spring in your step. I didn't think you could beat Scott Taylor. Sorry, that's just my analysis. But Scott's gone. He's running for Congress, 2nd District. So, Omari, you got a couple other people in this race. Daniel Gade, he's been out there a long time. Why are you in this race? Why do you want to be the Republican nominee to take on Mark Warner?
I mean, John, I want to be the nominee the same way, President Trump wanted to become president in 2015 and 2016 as well. A lot of people said the same thing about him that you're saying about me this morning. They didn't think he could win. And, he stood center stage the entire time during the Republican primary. So, I wish Scott Taylor and his family all the best. But, I'm running to bring that optimistic view and vision for Virginia. I think we've had enough of the elite political class, and Virginians are looking for something a little bit different. I think for far too long, Virginians have had to settle, by political scandal after scandal, what we're seeing in Richmond, and settle for senators who are worried more about towing the party line than actually fighting for the people of Virginia. So I think we're sick of those lackluster leaders, and we want something new, and I hope to provide that new vision for the Virginia Republican Party, making sure that we're coalesced and that we're charged up and ready for what we're going to see in November 2020.
Republican Party of Virginia, is that an oxymoron?
It kind of is. Right now it is.
Honesty's the best policy. A little bit about your background. You attended Georgetown, where you played men's basketball, and you were also served in the State Department. Omari, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I left Memphis, Tennessee in the year 2000 and came here to the Northern Virginia, D.C. area, to your point, to be a student athlete at Georgetown, which was a great experience for me because that was always my dream to come to the nation's capital. And when I got here, I was solely focused purely solely on basketball, which didn't work, and I turned things around after September the 11th, my sophomore year, and really focused on being a, model student athlete, became a better teammate. And that took my life on a different trajectory. And right after Georgetown, with the Bush administration, I joined the State Department, became a sports envoy, and traveled to about 45 different countries during the War on Terror to focus on how to bring people together, during a time of war, and to focus on the things that, bring us together, and focus on our American principles, which are, service, volunteerism, faith, freedom, all those different things. And the program was amazing. John, it really it showed me the world, and I think it focuses a lot on what we're seeing today in the Middle East as well, and what we saw over the weekend in regards to how you have to reach people from a cultural perspective. And that's the one thing that I've learned with almost 5 years of service with the Department of State in many different areas across the world, is that, while we're all, people, we have so many different cultural differences that we have to focus on. And I think you're seeing a lot of that in the news today.
You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're with Omari Faulkner. He's a candidate for the Republican nomination for U.S. Senate to take on Mark Warner in November 2020. That'll be decided in a primary, not a whack job convention like they're having in some of these areas, but a primary. It'll be a statewide primary in June. And so let's just talk about the primary for a second. Your main opposition is now war veteran, a handicapped veteran, Daniel Gade. Why should people vote for Omari Faulkner instead of Dan Gade? And I know your answer is going to be, I want to talk about me. It's not about the other people. But Omari, this is basically a bilateral decision people have to make, right? There's other candidates in the race. They can't win. They're going to get 2, 3, 4%. So it's you or Gade. So tell me why we should vote for Omari Faulkner in the June primary and not Daniel Gade.
Yeah, because Omari Faulkner, I think I'm the fresh face that Virginia needs right now. I think I have the energy. I think I have the diverse background that can actually, like I say, bring the Virginia Republican Party together. Because I think what we're seeing today across the news, I mean, if we don't do something, quick with our Republican Party, I don't think there'll be a Republican Party for my four daughters to be able to join in the next few years. I think we are a party of freedom. I think we are a party of liberty. I think we are the party that America needs most of right now. Because, I mean, I think Ronald Reagan said it best back in the 60s. I think people are looking at left or right, but it's a choice of up or down right now. And I think when you look at what some of the Democrats are proposing in Washington, what they're going to be proposing in Richmond, that's going down. But I think I am the one that can focus us on that upward vision, the same way Reagan did with Republicans back, years ago. I think we can rebalance this thing and refocus, stand behind our president in 2020. And, once President Trump is going to be on fire on the campaign trail, I think you need that candidate that's going to be on the top of the ticket that can drive us forward. And I think I'm that person, hands down.
If you get elected, will you have Trump's back?
Absolutely. I don't see that being a problem at all. I'll be that lead blocker for the president here in Virginia and also in the Senate because, President Trump's agenda has been driving us forward in so many ways. People can, you can talk about his personality. You can say what you want to say about the guy, but he has done exactly what he said he was going to do. And as a former diplomat and also as a current active Navy reservist, I truly understand the security threats that are out there. I work in national security today, and I think our president is doing a wonderful job, both here at home and protecting Americans abroad.
You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're with Omari Faulkner. He is a candidate for the U.S. Senate to go up against Mark Warner. He's a Republican. There's other candidates in the race, chief rival, Army Iraq veteran, handicapped Daniel Gade. This will be decided by Republican, by anybody. It's open primary in Virginia on June. What's the date? Do you have that handy?
June 9th.
June 9th in a Republican primary in the Commonwealth. So, Omari, got a text here from Nick in Virginia Beach. He says, "Hey, I like this guy." So you got a little positive feedback there. Let's get to Mark Warner, and then we'll get to some of your positions in the time that we have. How do you beat Mark Warner?
I mean, Mark Warner, he was already almost beaten in 2014 by Ed Gillespie, and clearly, I'm a little bit different than Ed Gillespie. But of course, he did win re-election. But he's a career politician, and as you can look at Mark Warner, he's been a part of this Virginia, boss politics in the Democrat Party since the late 1980s. And just look what Mark Warner has been doing for the last 3 years. He's been, promoting our president as a Russian operative, and he's delivered no results that help Virginians, whether it be in Northern Virginia or Southwest Virginia. I think he's branded himself as kind of a pro-growth and a pro-business senator. But as you look at his record over the past few years, we've seen none of the sort here in Virginia. So it's just time for us to turn a page. Mark Warner asking Virginians for 18 years in the Senate is just a bridge too far. And I think Virginians are going to be looking for something a little bit different come this November.
All right, so I'll buy into that. I mean, I think Mark Warner goes in the favorite, but he's going to have to be held accountable and answer for statement after statement after statement he made as ranking intel member concerning Russia collusion info he's had. I mean, he would get on TV every Sunday. I would believe him because I know him. He's a ranking member. I voted for him, as you know, and when was that? 2014. I couldn't vote for Ed. I voted for him. I believed him. And basically, he got on TV and he either lied to me or he didn't have the information he said he had. Either is bad. So I think it's an issue. Let's get to foreign policy right now. That's the big issue going on right now. Define your foreign policy views as it relates right now, as it relates to Trump's decision to take out General Qasem Soleimani of Iran and his larger policy in dealing with Iran. How do you stand on that, Omari?
Hey, what I say is I think clearly America does not want war, and I'd say we've seen that by President Trump's actions. We've seen that based off of what he said on the campaign trail. But we can't stand by and idly let Iran continuously ramp up its aggressions against us and also our allies across the world. You know, America has always stood in the face of terrorists. We always will. And for years, Iran have just ramped up these attacks against the U.S., our service members, and also our diplomats. And as I said before, I know how it feels like to be in those very vulnerable situations overseas. And I think our president has done just that. He's kept our home front safe and secure. So while in the Senate, that will be my main focus. Like I said, as a leader within the national security arena today, I support the growth and development of some of the best in class solutions to keep our federal government safe and keep our homeland security safe as well. And I think I want to continue to focus on that, make sure our military has the best and most advanced technology in the world, so we can respond very quickly to a lot of the threats that we see around the world. And I think the American people are seeing some of that on their screens today. And I think it really just reiterates the point that the world is not what we kind of see it as here in Virginia. It's a very dangerous place, and when you have a lot of dangerous people working against us, but I think having a commander in chief that knows and understands how to use our military in the most effective way is the best deterrent that we do have today.
All right, so let me ask you this, just to get a feel of some of your foreign policy views as it relates to the president's America First policy. So when the president decided to pull 1,000 troops out of Syria, I don't know if you were in Washington during that 2 weeks, but with those of us that were, you would have thought the town was going to get burned to the ground, that it was the end of the world, because the neocons went absolutely ballistic, ran around the town, both sides of the aisle, their hair on fire, led by Lindsey Graham, John Bolton, etc., saying that we were abandoning the Kurds and the world would come to an end and it would be raining volcano ash or something because we pulled 1,000 troops out of an area that we shouldn't have been in the first place. How did you stand on that?
How I stood on that is that I think President Trump, again, he delivered on the campaign promise. He said that he would get us out of some of these conflicts around the world, and that's exactly what he's doing. One can debate on, the process in which doing that, but one can't debate on the fact that we can't be the police of the world, but we have to make sure that we keep, our assets overseas as safe as they possibly can be. In regards to the response to that, that's just the left. Again, every single day, Donald Trump wakes up, they create some type of crisis. I have so many people across Virginia that reach out, with questions, really concerned Virginians that they want to know more about, the international and diplomatic impacts of some of the things they see on TV. So they reach out to our campaign. And, I spoke to a lady in Roanoke, Virginia yesterday, and she literally wanted to know, what we going to be going to war, and as I explained, it's a long process, but you can't take what the Democrats say at face value because they understand that unemployment has fallen to, almost lower than 4.8%, and, almost 3.5% for African Americans and Hispanics. And that's something that really, really, makes them shake in their boots because they understand that no president has ever been defeated or has not seen re-election when the unemployment rate is under 7.4%. So here you're going to have a first-time president that has been impeached will be reelected to a resounding victory in 2020. So they try to make up every crisis they possibly can, John, and that's what we've been seeing each and every single day.
Omari, I got 2 minutes. I'm going to be out of time. Let's go to, I've got a question for you from Nick in Virginia Beach. He says, can you please ask Omari about Trump with black voters? Is he really making gains? What percentage of the African-American vote can Trump realistically get in 2020?
I think realistically you're going to see a huge spike. Everywhere that I've been going, I was down in Virginia Beach the past few days. Again, being from Memphis, Tennessee, and just listening to voters all over the country, I think, Trump is definitely tapping into the minority vote that like we haven't seen before. And I think that's something that the Republican Party, we must continue to do. And that's why I think I'm the right candidate for, to go up against Mark Warner, because I think based off of my background and, being able to travel to, so many different countries around the globe. I could be that candidate that can tap into some of the communities and really, speak about the American dream, which Democrats don't talk a lot about today. That American dream is definitely alive. It's well. And I think more people, who are independent and quote unquote conservative Democrats, can look at my story. And, I've been that beacon of light that my great grandmother has always instilled in me. Whatever, I put my mind to, I can actually do it. And I think Donald Trump is, sending that message to Americans, and it's working, quite frankly.
I'm running out of time, Omari. I'm running out of time. Let's get to brass tacks here. Trump got 8% of the black vote last time, higher since Richard Nixon in '68. Can he get 10% 2020?
I think he can. I think he will.
Or if he does, landslide. I got to roll. What's your website? Website
is omariforvirginia.com. And look forward to talking to you again, John. Keep up the good work.
All right. Omari predicts Trump gets 10% of the black vote. If he does that, he wins in a landslide. It's over. Mail it in. Omari, thanks for being with us. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network.